final running back here. I want to mention him just because we haven't brought him up yet, but that's DeAndre Swift out of Georgia. He is, I think, the consensus across the board RB1 as you look at guys in the industry. He's my RB1. And so he's my favorite back in this class. My only question with him is going to be his long speed, and where he's not going to break off, or you didn't see him break off many of these longer runs like a Jonathan Taylor, like a J.K. Dobbins, and even Keyshawn Vaughn in some instances. So for me, I want to see DeAndre Swift. I think he's going to nail the three cone. I think he's going to nail the short shuttle. So for me, I just want to see him do run in the 4.5s with, the 40-yard dash. I think he can run quicker than that, but that's one of the questions that I'm going to have with Swift, and I would just love to have that box checked and for him to be able to solidify his draft stock there, because I think if he comes out and he runs lower than a 4.6, we're going to be worrying about DeAndre Swift, and it's going to be kind of that conversation with Josh Jacobs or David Montgomery last year. Just how far are they going to fall when they run in those low 4.6s? Do you guys have tags? Do you have specific thoughts on DeAndre Swift?
I like Swift. I feel like he's just one of those guys that's a 3-down role. He's built to handle it. He does everything well. I don't know if there's one thing I watch and I'm like, this guy is phenomenal at this, where I just feel like he's a great all-around back. I think Jonathan Taylor possesses better patience when he approaches the line of scrimmage, a little bit smarter of a runner. And then, I'm really glad that you kind of brought him up, because I don't know if we're going to have Matt back on soon enough to talk about this again before the draft, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is someone that I know that Yates and I have talked about it in our Slack chat and just off air. I'm a huge fan. I've developed a man crush on this guy. I feel like, so many people say that the running back position does not matter. I feel like this kid does matter. I feel like he is a game changer. Now, he's not a big running back. He's not built like DeAndre Swift, who can handle those 20-touch roles. It's not to say Edwards-Helaire can't, but how do you feel about these top-tier running backs, Matt? Do you feel that DeAndre Swift automatically, he should be the number one running back off the board, provided he doesn't get in that 4.6 territory? How do you feel about Edwards-Helaire? I just feel like he's the best suited for today's NFL. He does everything well. He's slippery as hell. He would fit a spread offense, obviously, particularly well. Someone that utilizes him in the screen game, passing game. How do you feel about these running backs?
Yeah, I think this is a good running back class. I do not have DeAndre Swift number one. I'll put that to you. Put it that way. He may be close to my top 5 when it's all over with, but unlike most people, I don't have him in my top 5 of my backs right now. And if you remember, I worked at the University of Georgia. I graduated from the University of Georgia, and I was very high on Nick Chubb when most people were not. And other players. Nick Chubb was my highest graded back, just under Ezekiel Elliott and over Saquon Barkley. So, I'm not a Georgia fan, but I'm intimately familiar with a lot going on at that program. And I can say that I like DeAndre Swift. He reminds me of D'Angelo Williams, an excellent back. And if you put him in the right system, he could be the most productive of this group. And he certainly has a starter caliber grade for me, which is more important than where I have him ranked. But he's not going to have long speed. He's just not. He peters out after about 25, 30 yards. Now, that's okay, because he can author 40, 50-yard gains with certain types of runs that you're going to often see from guys who break long runs, who have 4.6, 4.7 times in the 40. Arian Foster did it all the time. Priest Holmes did it all the time. So, the thing with Swift that I think is going to be important for him is that he does show the short area quickness, the strength. The strength is going to be a big deal with him too, because I have questions about his ability in terms of tackle breaking power. And, again, where he's going to fit into a system is probably going to be more in a more wide open system. But at the same time, you want to, when you start talking about the top of the draft, it's more about all the things that they can do. And there are some holes in his game that can be, mitigated by system, and it won't matter. But it depends on, it's going to be about which team really likes him. And then with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I like him a lot. Reminds me a lot of Devonta Freeman in his prime. I think he's a very good receiver, and I think that he'll perform well. And if he tests well, he could get vaulted up within the range of the top 3 backs in this class, because he has that kind of ability. And he and Swift are both good receivers. I'd say Helaire is a better route runner. Swift is a more natural pass catcher in terms of adjusting to the ball, hand-eye coordination, and he's very good at being able to adjust his routes on the fly, one-on-one, and be able to find an open area. He's just not a great structured route runner in the way that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is.
Yeah, absolutely. With DeAndre Swift and tags, you mentioned like there's nothing that he does particularly well. It was an observation that I took away from watching 2018 tape versus his 2019 tape, where in 2018 his ability to put his foot in the ground and change directions was, I think, one of the best I've ever seen. And that watching his 2019 tape, that seemed to like disappear, and there was more of a focus for him to develop power to his game, to be able to drive between the tackles, to invite contact. And so I'm curious if that was something that was intentional from him, or because I really did not see his ability to the change direction, put his foot in the ground, and just make people miss in the open field. I didn't see that much in 2019. And so that's a question that I have with DeAndre Swift is I don't think that ability just flat out disappeared. I don't think that he just doesn't have it anymore. It was just that he wasn't using it as much. So with talking about DeAndre Swift, I think that is his calling card. That's something that he does extremely well. I just didn't see it much in 2019 tape. So I'm interested to see when we get him into the league if that's going to come back. But yeah, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it reminds me a lot of Ray Rice. You're going to hear a lot of comparisons for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That seems to be going a lot around Twitter. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is an extremely good running back, and this is just a really, really good running back class.
Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, then please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and check out the rest of this episode. The link will be in the description.